Well, Jeff, if you step back, I think, and look at the broader Middle East-U.S. relationship as it's been developing over the last couple of years, certainly under the Trump administration. Of course, we've seen Saudi Arabia come to the fore as well as the UAE in terms of pushing the idea that Iran is the greatest destabilizer in the region. And that's something that we heard from Mike Pompeo as well when he was in Saudi Arabia just a day or so ago. So they seem to be in line with that way of thinking. But at the end of the day, the Trump administration is looking, of course, to fulfill campaign promises. This isn't something that they have changed over the course of the administration and certainly on the campaign trail as well, and talking about essentially that this deal was a bad one for the United States, a bad one globally, and certainly something that gave the Iranians too many economic benefits at the expense of the safety of the United States and the safety of Israel. Let's listen into what President Trump had to say.
They're not sitting back idly. They're setting off missiles, which they say are for television purposes. I don't think so. So we'll see what happens. I'm not telling you what I'm doing, but a lot of people think they know. And on or before the 12th, we'll make a decision. That doesn't mean we won't negotiate a real agreement. You know, this is an agreement that wasn't approved by too many people, and it's a horrible agreement for the United States.
But if you're sitting in Riyadh or you're sitting here in the UAE and Abu Dhabi, I mean, the question, of course, going forward is what will happen next. I mean, if you look at what the situation in Syria has really devolved to over the last couple of years, you basically have Israel and Iran already confronting each other. Of course, there are questions over whether or not Israel will do something, perhaps an incursion into Lebanon to take on Hezbollah. A lot of questions over what's going to happen next and whether or not they'd be willing to take on directly. But, of course, if you look at this in terms of the broader region, Saudi Arabia, of course, has been echoing these sentiments and really leading the charge for years now. I mean, every time I speak to Adel al-Jubeir, the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia, he really pushes the same narrative that Iran is destabilizing the region and that certainly the nuclear weapons program, they're not being fully truthful is generally his message. And I think that if you look at what's happening with the Trump administration today, they seem to, of course, be building the case. But, of course, the critics of this administration and certainly of this current policy, whether they be sitting in Europe or in the United States itself, will, of course, look at this and say, you know, this feels as if very 2003 with Yellow Cake. So there are a lot of criticisms, as you know, coming not just from within the party and the Republican Party, but also, of course, from Europe as well. And it really remains to be seen what kind of reaction we're going to see there, guys.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.